It's been 4 months since I've owned this G87 M2 and I'm loving it. So in this one, let's do a 4-month update on the car and what I've done to it and what my plans are for the future. This is probably the most hated BMW of 2023. But you know what? As time goes by, people are starting to see the light in terms of what this car is all about. I love this retro modern design. Let's recap what I've done to my car to sort of finish the look of this car in my eyes. So first things first, wheels and suspension. You've seen all my previous videos. The wheels, the Edelweiss wheels, 2021s are just amazing. It's just perfect fitment on this car. And then the suspension. I've gone through 2 iterations or 2 different styles of suspension. I've done the KW and now they're sitting on Cobra height adjustable springs. The KW was great, but it didn't drop just enough. That's why I went with the Cobra. And now after a few months of driving on it, it's settled and it looks mega. Once we did the wheels and suspension, we went on to fixing the sort of overall styling elements of this car. When you pick this car up from factory, the front end is somewhat incomplete. And that's what a lot of G87 owners would say when they get their car. This is why I've decided to do the Aero kit from Auto ID. And I think this lip is the perfect combo for this car because it gives you that OEM plus look without being over the top. Obviously, there's an opportunity to do more with this front bumper. For now, I'm just gonna leave it with the front lip, and I think it really completes the front end of this car. Now, as part of the Aero kit from Auto ID, which includes the front lip, it also includes the side skirt and the rear winglets as well, including the rear lip or rear spoiler, as you will. And I think as a whole, this kit completes the G87 in my eyes. It gives it that OEM plus look, as I was mentioning. The side skirt, not as aggressive as the M Performance one. I was initially debating the M Performance kit as a whole, but when you start seeing what they've done with it, it just didn't sit well in my eyes, and the TRE kit was that good compromise of not being overly aggressive, but it enhances the overall styling of the car. So that's why I went with the TRE. Again, the kit includes the front lip, side skirt, rear winglets, and the rear spoiler as well. As I mentioned from the start of the journey with this G87, this is more of an aesthetics car as opposed to a track machine. This is trying to be a good balance of looks and not compromise the drivability of the car as well. So originally when we got the car, I said I wasn't going to PPF the car. I was going to just ceramic coat it and just drive it. First drive to Impact, that was a 6-hour drive. A couple of stone chips later and anxiety and all those things, I was like, no, I think I want to go back onto the PPF world. The amount of effort it took to install the temporary PPF on that road trip, removing it, putting another layer of temporary PPF on, coming back and removing it, it was just a lot of time and effort that I personally am not a fan of. So I'm not going to do the front half of the car, which a lot of people do. I'm just going to do the front bumper. I'm going to leave the hood alone and the fenders alone. So the majority of the mods that I wanted to do with this car is about complete. There's a few things that's missing: the exhaust, the rear diffuser, and there are some options to go carbon fiber or just go for an aggressive styling with carbon fiber as well. The rear diffuser will be decided depending on the type of exhaust that I will go with. Unsure yet, maybe just a mid-pipe and that's it, or maybe a full-on catback system. Not quite sure. I'm going to take the winter to kind of decide what is the right approach. I've heard a lot of good things about just doing a mid-pipe and really accentuating the exhaust node that this motor or the stock exhaust provides. So one of the things that we've done with the brakes is to replace the stock pads with a carbon or ceramic pads to reduce the amount of brake dust. So EBC Reds were used for this as well. A lot of you have been asking me about the EBC Reds and how it's been performing in terms of brake dust. And I could say after a few months of driving around in it, The brake dust is very minimal. I mean, I don't have to wipe the wheels down after every drive. Maybe after the 5th drive, I'm starting to wipe it down because the amount of brake dust is starting to get dark enough that you notice it on the wheels. But EBC Red's so much better than the stock pads in terms of brake dust. Yes, it doesn't have the biting capability as the stock ones do. The focus was reduce the brake dust so I don't have to wipe down the wheels after every drive. And so far, I'm so happy with it. It's been so good. Now, the one downside that's happened through all of this is that my calipers seized on me. Somehow, out of bad luck, I guess the piston seized and it was just jammed up against the rotors and it scored the rotors. As a result, we're having to change the rotors and potentially the faulty calipers. So if you do one side, you got to do the other side, and therefore we're getting that done. Thankfully, it's covered under warranty, so all is well. It's just a matter of being patient. Parts are back ordered, so as soon as it arrives, we should be able to get it back on. Overall though, I think the G87 is a great platform. It's a great car. So much hate on the forums and social media and so on, but I think it's one of those cars that will grow on people over time. A lot of people that have hated on this car from day one, once they see the car modified, lowered, wheels, aero kit, and you start to see the potential of what this car is. I'm super happy with how it turned out, so much so that I don't think I'll sell it at the end of the season. I've been having so much fun modding this car, meeting so many great people. BMW cars in general and their M cars have such a great social media following, and that's been really helping this channel and all my Instagram pages as well. So there you have it, a quick 4-month update on the G87 M2 and its ownership. It's great value if you ask me. A rear-wheel drive car with carbon bucket seats and a manual making 450 horsepower for under 100 grand Canadian. I don't think you get that anywhere else. Porsches have gone way overpriced now. Buying a brand new Porsche is impossible. Maybe a used one, even that. Used Porsches are so expensive now as well. So from that perspective, I think the G87 M2 is a great buy, great value. There's so much modding opportunity with it as well. There's so many options for parts with this car in order to make it your own. So in a year from now, I think there's going to be even more set of options, more aero kits, more suspension options, more intake. I might dabble in the engine bay at some point, but for now, I think that's about it. I think I'm going to wrap up the mods for the car. I might do exhaust like I was mentioning once I decide what that might be. Maybe it's a winter project. Maybe I'll do just the mid-pipe before the end of the season. I love driving this. I almost drive this more than I drive the GT3 RS. It's just a lot more involving in the back roads, going to Cars and Coffee and things like that. Whereas the GT3 RS, you got to ring it out before you can really experience what the car is giving you. I'm sure a lot of you Porsche fans are probably going, you are crazy for having to pick this over that. Yes, I know, if I had a GT3 manual, it would have been a different story. I would have been driving that more. But having the opportunity to own both of these, where this is driven a lot less and this is driven a whole lot more in the summer, on a daily basis, I enjoy the manual. I enjoy the 450 horsepower. It's not as connected as the GT3 RS. The steering, there's much to be desired in the BMW electric steering when you compare it to what Porsche gives you. So hands down, Porsche has it. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more. I might be wrapping up the content for the G87 M2. But I might have more of the GT3 RS. We might have wheels for it. Hopefully it arrives before the season ends. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.